Coming on, you
bullshit.
He already started.
I don't know why the hell you telling me.
Dennis Sperling. That show, mama, you know what I'm talking about.
Copy him.
Mama, that go, that man, he just talk a lot of shit. He be up late at night, tuning into all his hits. See my grandmama hate him, and my mama and my TD getting mad. Posting comments like we watching real TV. Mama, that go, that man, yelling from that nigga, what? He successful attorney on the two be turning up. We be turning up, we turning up, yeah. We be turning up, yeah, turning up. It's that real spit, like some barbershop talk. Except it's real black man that be walking for me a walk. Intelligent, well versed. Sometimes we might curse, well we cuss a lot. Just like these lovely ladies fuss a lot. Switch it up, tell these indies suckers gotta pick it up. Move along, me and you ain't brothers, not the womb I'm on. Cross-examination on in the chat room. All the trolls with the disrespect, we in the back room. Huffing and you sucking up the air like a vacuum. Daddy disappeared, told you baby I'll be back soon. I just represent us cause the system can't afford it. I'm your homie, I'm your brother, sometimes a court appointed. Anointed, know you hate it, but I give you fair chosen. Just like Jesus in the house of God, kicking chairs over. Suit and tie soldier, get the cold shoulder. The hate and you talking, not a fucking stain on me. Watch your dame homie, I got that change on me. Black rich, I don't give a shit, bet your dame want me. Mama, that go, that man, he just talk a lot of shit. He be up late at night, tuning into all his hits. See my grandmama hate him.
That's my business. You ain't got a goddamn thing to do with it.
And my mama and my TD getting mad, posting comments like we watching real TV. Mama, that go, that man, he talk a lot of shit. He be up late at night, tuning into all his hits. See my grandmama hate him, and my mama and my TD getting mad, posting comments like we watching real TV. Mama, that go, that man. Mama, that go, that man. Mama, that go, that man. Yeah. Mama, that go, that man.
What's up? Welcome back, baby. You up in here with Uncle D, man, the Blizzard King, also known as, well, my real name is Dennis Sperling, but I'm a lawyer, and I'm having a good time. Probably having too many good times on the internet. I probably need to chill a little bit, man, but nevertheless, as long as I'm having a good time and I'm enjoying educating the people, I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing. I'm turning into something like a urban legend, an urban hero, an urban Negro hero. Well, shout out to everybody in New York. I never knew that a West Coast dude like myself, my primary supporters are coming from NYC, son. Word is bond to everybody in New York. You know what I'm talking about? Shout out to New York. I just checked my analytics, man. Like, I'm overwhelmingly supported by the people of New York City, man. NYC, shout out to all the boroughs, the Bronx, the boogie down Bronx, Harlem with the pretty ninjas. Shout out to everybody in Queens, Manhattan, Long Island. Big shout out to Long Island. And who else is Staten Island? Shout out to all them boroughs, man. I never understood that. I just never understood all them boroughs and whatnot. I'm like, y'all got one city, but it's split up so many different ways, man. But anyway, man, shout out to everybody out in New York City, man. I really, really appreciate the support. I didn't know. The second place, I'm getting a lot of support from Chicago, Chi-Town. What's happening in Chi-Town, baby? Chi-Town is repping Funko Deep, man. Big shout out to you guys too, man. I never knew, man. So it's amazing now that I go different places around the country and, you know, people recognize and whatnot. But, you know, you never know whose life you touch, and you never know who you've helped motivate, you know, and I'm just with that. And the cool thing about it is I get to be myself. That's the cool thing about it. I get to be myself. This is authentically who I am, man. So shout out to everybody, man. But it's a lot of cities, man, I want to give a shout out to. But like I said, New York, Chicago, they're at the top, man. Atlanta gave me a lot of love. Of course, my hometown, LA, is coming in 4th place. Shout out to everybody in LA, man. But I get a lot of love from Houston, Dallas, Philly, Charlotte, North Carolina, Baltimore, Detroit, London. I'm getting a lot of love from London, England. That's what's happening back. Vegas, Miami, Orlando, Nashville, Columbus, Ohio, Frisco, Boston, Austin, Raleigh, North Carolina, Birmingham, Denver, Jacksonville. Shout out to Florida. Shout out to Jacksonville, man. But again, man, at the top of the list, man. Oh, my people from the NO, St. Louis, Indianapolis, Phoenix, Cleveland, Sacktown, Memphis, man, Seattle, man. All these people, man. Shout out to everybody. And Sydney, Australia. For some reason, the people down in Sydney, Australia got a lot of love for what I'm doing on here, man. So just shout out to y'all, man. Thank you guys so much. But, man, for real, at the top of the list is New York City, man. Somebody had to do something. So hand clap for the NY, Big Apple, man, the first city. But anyway, look, so I want to talk about something with you all tonight, man. And this is kind of a conversation that it really has a lot to do. It relates a lot to do with your own self-respect and your own dignity and valuing yourself. And that's kind of like the overarching story. You guys see the thumbnail. And what you see there is several prominent attorneys, several prominent public figures who are attorneys. You see you see Marilyn Mosby. You see who else you got up there? You got Eric Adams. I believe I put him, even though he's not an attorney, he's still an official. You got a gentleman named Markenzie LaPonte, or Mark LaPonte, out of Florida. You got just some different folks, man. Alvin Bragg, Harvard graduate. You know, all these guys, man. And of course, you got the two ladies out of the one lady down there from what's her name, Fannie Willis, out of Georgia, and then Letitia James, who is the Attorney General of New York. Now, the one thing they all have in common is this. And let me say, thank you all for coming. Shout out to everybody who continues hitting me up with the super chat and the Cash App. I want to roll through this. It's important. Shout out to my man, International Quiet Storm. He says, support Black male media. Thank you so much. And Glenn Curtis, and super big, major, fantastic, outstanding shout out to Trey 43TX. But you know, and then I'll definitely make sure I give a shout out to everybody when I get towards the end of this discussion. But I want to do this. This is important because, you know, a lot of you all go to school, you work hard, and even if you don't, you go to higher education, you may do something like go, you know, work your way up through a company, man, blue collar workers. And then you would just throw yourself in a line of fire for people who don't deserve it. All right? People, listen up. Listen good. We're talking about a game here, a high stakes game, where the players are set up for a loss before they even make their first move. In the vast sea of 1.3 million attorneys in America, only 4.5% are Black. That's like 50,000. more or less. It's 50,000 attorneys out of 1.3 million. Okay? Now tell me, how do we find ourselves in a situation where the leading attorneys against Trump are all people, all black? Huh? Of all people, they black. Markenzie LaPonte, the Attorney General for South Florida, Alvin Bragg, the District Attorney for New York, Fannie Willis, the Georgia Attorney down there in Atlanta, Letitia James, the Attorney General at the forefront in New York. This isn't just a matter of chance. It's a strategic play in the justice system where the black prosecutors' roles are as highlighted as the charges they're bringing. But here's the kicker. It reeks of the setup. Somebody typed setup in the chat room. Look at what happened to Marilyn Mosby the other day. She got dragged through the mud, her career, her reputation put through the ringer. And now these black attorneys are walking into the same trap. Somebody typed trap in the chat room. Somebody typed trap house in the chat room. If Trump swings back into power, the backlash they'll face won't just be a slap on the wrist. It could destroy them professionally, personally, completely. They're being built up only to be potentially to be torn down in a vicious cycle of political and racial gamesmanship. So what's the lesson here? Don't be a pawn in someone else's game, especially when they don't care one bit about you. These attorneys, they're being used in the larger game of political chess. And if things go south, guess who's going to be the sacrifice first? That's right, them. This is the harsh reality for these black attorneys in these high-profile cases. They're walking a tightrope with no safety net. It's a stark reminder of the treacherous dynamics of race and politics in the American legal system. Wake up and see the play before it's too late. Now, let's get into it. We're talking about Marilyn Mosby and Eric Adams, two high-profile names that have been through the ringer. Mosby, as Baltimore's prosecutor, was front and center in the Freddie Gray case. Y'all remember him? Cops threw him in the back of a car. He didn't buckle him down. He ended up breaking his neck, right? She swore to prosecute him and such and so forth. Remember that? She caught heat for what many saw as her playing politics instead of seeking justice. Was she serving the community or was she serving a career? Now let's fast forward to 2020. And she's pulling $90,000 out of her retirement account, crying about COVID hardship while her paycheck's getting fatter. Then there's this Florida real estate hustle, bending rules to get those properties. And she paying for it. Now shift to Eric Adams, NYPD officer, turned New York City mayor. The man's career is a web of controversy, tangled with alleged Turkish connections. This man's over in Turkey all the time. Who knew? I ain't know. Did these ties influence his politics and campaign funding? It looks like he was playing the game for personal gain. And not always looking out for the black community that was watching his back. Or even the people in New York, generally. Here's where it gets deeper. The media. They love to lift up black politicians, put them on the pedestal, only to knock them down hard when the tide turns. It's a double standard, a racial play where black leaders get scrutinized more harshly than their white counterpart. So what's the takeaway from the journeys of Mosby and Adams? It's a brutal reminder, don't get used. Somebody talk in the chat room, don't get used. Don't be the one who gets played by the system that's rigged against you. If you're not careful, you'll find yourself thrown under the bus under the bus, left to bear the brunt of the fallout. It's a game of power, racial dynamics, and media manipulation. If you're not playing smart, you're just another pawn being moved on the board, man. And we need to wake up. Somebody type wake up in the chat room. See, to play for what it is and demand a political system that's fair and just and truly serves the people. Don't let ambition blind you to the real game being played. Now, I find myself engaging in another discussion about Donald Trump in less than 7 days. And this time we're focusing on the individuals prosecuting him. It appears as though someone might be positioning them as scapegoats in this scenario. My interest is not born out of support for Donald Trump as a political figure, but rather a practical concern about my own personal financial implications. I've noticed a significant decrease in my tax payments when he was in his administration, which affects my personal finances more than his personal controversies or actions. So in supporting him, guess what I do? I vote my interest. That's it. However, what intrigues me now is the nature of the prosecution against Trump. If the legal challenges he faced can impact a billionaire like him, it serves as a cautionary tale for the rest of us. My analysis has led me to observe there's some intriguing similarities among those prosecuting him. They are all black. Somebody type all black in the chat room. And this raises questions about their motivations in the broader political landscape. As we delve deeper into this topic, especially considering the upcoming election cycle, it's crucial to understand the dynamics at play. Understanding these legal proceedings against Trump is key to navigating the political discourse. In discussing the justice system in the United States, there's two distinct systems operating simultaneously. Each state possesses its own set of courts, including district, appellate, and the Supreme Court, creating a unique judicial framework. In parallel, the federal court system operates under a different hierarchy, with the Supreme Court at the apex, presided over by justices, the Supreme Court justices like those you've heard, Clarence Thomas, Ketanji Brown Jackson. And this system branches into various appellate courts, such as the 5th, 11th, 1st, 7th, 9th, 6th, and the DC courts. And it extends further into districts scattered across the nation and other territories, including Puerto Rico and Guam. Now, these two systems overlap. There are certain crimes exclusively tried in federal court. For instance, a drug charge might escalate to a federal crime if the substance crosses state lines. This distinction between federal and state jurisdictions is crucial for a comprehensive understanding of this legal landscape that Donald Trump is dealing with. Some of you all have been charged in state court, and then the feds pick it up. That's the lingo for it. And so you end up doing fed time for what you thought was some state, because it ended up being a conspiracy. Nevertheless, each state typically divides into 4 regions: northern, southern, eastern, western, and occasionally a central district. As far as the feds, overseeing each division is a U.S. attorney responsible for all prosecutions within that area. Now, this person is appointed by the president when it comes to federal court. Now, the question you ask yourself, who's a U.S. attorney that manages the division in Florida where Trump is being prosecuted? The Southern District of Florida, specifically. Well, the U.S. attorney down there, his name is Markenzie LaPonte. The U.S. attorney prosecuting Donald Trump in Florida is Markenzie LaPonte. This is contrary to the popular media portrayal of a special counsel, Jack Smith, who's been appointed by the Justice Department. No, it's a black man. Mr. LaPonte, nominated by President Joe Biden and confirmed by the U.S. Senate. LaPonte leads an office comprising nearly 500 attorneys and support professionals. His responsibilities encompass investigating and prosecuting federal crimes in South Florida, as well as litigating civil matters involving the United States. Did you hear me? Who did I say he was appointed by? Donald Trump. Joe Biden. He was appointed by who? Joe Biden. Who's the most likely the person that Donald Trump is going to run against? Joe Biden. Joe Biden is a what? A Democrat. President Trump is a Republican, at least on paper. Bottom line is LaPonte, appointed by Joe Biden, has decided to prosecute who? Donald Trump. Now, this is a real lawyer. Let's look at LaPonte's professional background, and it's quite distinguished. Before his current appointment, he was a partner at Pillsbury, Winthrop, Shaw, Pittman, LLP, and he dealt with a range of legal matters from commercial and high exposure product liability, professional malpractice, and criminal investigations. Notably, he co-chaired the firm's committee for advancement of diverse attorneys, advocating for the progression of lawyers who have diverse backgrounds. His legal career commenced with a single role as a law clerk, with a significant role as a law clerk for the Supreme Court. He served under Harry Lee Onstead from 1999 to 2001. He did a 2-year term with the Supreme Court in Florida. He was also assistant U.S. Attorney General in the Southern District of Florida from 2002 to 2006. This man has experience. He handled a variety of federal crimes, narcotics, firearms, crime. You know, it's Miami, baby. You know what's going on down there. Mortgage fraud. He has comprehensive legal experience. He was an associate at Boyce, Schiller, and Flexner in the Miami office, so he knows the territory. He did that from 2006 to 2017. This man has experience. He made it to partner. Other thing is he's also a Marine. He's a Marine. So this is he's a Marine, a Desert Storm vet. Got his JD from Florida State University, College of Law. He's a Gulf War veteran, Haitian born, immigrated from Haiti as a teenager, lived in Liberty City, went to Edison High School, went to Miami-Dade College. And this is the man that Donald Trump is being prosecuted by. A black man, an immigrant black man from Haiti. And you could derive what you want from that. And I get it that my brother might feel like he has something to prove, but he earned his position, didn't he? Somebody type he earned it in the chat room. Somebody type he earned it in the chat room. What about Letitia James, the Attorney General from New York? Let's shift focus to New York. Shout out to New York. Let's discuss Letitia James, Attorney General of New York. This role is distinct from the U.S. Attorney as it pertains to a state system. Remember, we went from federal to state. I explained that to you. Now we're back to the state. She is the Attorney General for the whole state of New York. And Mrs. James, she's actively investigating. Now she's prosecuting the business dealings of Trump. You see that? Now, who is she? Well, she's born in 1958. She's a politician. She's an American lawyer. She's also a member of the Democratic Party. Okay, so the first lawyer, he was appointed by a Democratic president. This woman's a member of the Democratic Party. Both of them are black. What's the odds of that? With only 4.5% of the attorneys in America as black attorneys. What's the odds of both of these attorneys so far being black? We'll deal with that. Nevertheless, she made history in 2018 by becoming the first black, first woman in New York elected, the first African-American woman and first woman elected New York's Attorney General. And she succeeded Barbara Underwood. She's from Brooklyn. She went to Lehman College in the Bronx. She's a Howard University, Washington Law School grad. Her career includes notable, she was a public defender. She was an assembly person. She's an assistant attorney general in Brooklyn. Okay. She did a tenure as city council in New York from 2004 to 2013, represented 35th district. That encompassed Brooklyn neighborhoods, Clinton Hill, Fort Greene, Crown Heights, Prospect Heights, Bed-Stuy. Okay. She put in that work. Donald Trump has expressed a lot of dissatisfaction with her on multiple occasions, in court, outside of court, in relations to her prosecution of him. She's black too. Here's another one, Alvin Bragg Jr. Now, where Ms. James is the Attorney General of the state of New York, he is the district attorney of the city of New York. He's a key figure in these proceedings, Alvin Bragg. Like LaPonte and James, they play a crucial role in the legal landscape surrounding Trump's case or these prosecutions. All three of these people are black. He was a professor at New York Law School. As I said, he's black. He can trace his roots back to the Bronx. His father's from North Carolina. He's foundational black American. He got a bachelor's degree from Harvard, a JD from Harvard Law. He clerked for Judge Robert P. Patterson Jr. at the federal judge, which is a big deal. Are y'all with me? Are y'all bored? I'm trying to lay something here. I need y'all to understand. I need y'all to catch up. 3 black lawyers, all of them prosecuting Donald Trump. He also teaches at New York Law School. He's an intelligent man. These are 3 well-rounded, knowledgeable lawyers. They earned it. Somebody typed they earned it in the chat room. Now, when Bragg decided to prosecute Donald Trump, a lot of the lead prosecutors retired because they thought it was something fishy about that. Remember, the charges revolved around falsifying business records. Why would these lead attorneys retire? On one hand, you got the lead attorneys retired. On the other hand, you got people saying, well, you know, Letitia James, why are you prosecuting this dude? This is a trumped up charge. No pun intended. A little bit more about Bragg. His mama was a school teacher. His daddy was a city worker. He identifies as a Democrat. All of these people I find intriguing. Markenzie LaPonte, Bragg, and James, all of them black. What's the odds of that? How many black lawyers are there in the United States? About 50,000. And yet 4 out of 4 of the attorneys prosecuting him. Because the district attorney of Fulton County, Fannie Willis, she's at the forefront and she's trying to prosecute him too. Somebody say RICO charge in the chat room. What's the odds of that? Huh? Who is she? She's a Howard University graduate, HBCU. She got a law license from Emory University Law School, great law school. 16 years as a prosecutor in Fulton County. She was the one that prosecuted all those school teachers back in 2018 for cheating on the test. Somebody say school teacher. She put the school teachers in jail. Shout out to my man David White. Hey, Unc, about to head to work. Replay squad. Yeah, this is good information, man. She was a chief municipal judge for South Fulton in Georgia. So she was a judge. She's a prosecutor. She's been in private practice. Well, at least in 2020. She won in 2020. She became a district attorney. Back in 2021, she initiated the criminal investigation into Donald Trump's alleged attempts to sway the Georgia election officials, including Governor, Attorney General, Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, through a phone call. Hey, I need y'all to find me 10,000 votes. Somebody type 10,000 in the chat room. Was it 10,000? I need you to find me 10,000 votes. Allegedly, he was trying to find enough votes to surpass Joe Biden. In 2022, as you guys remember, she requested a special grand jury to explore the charges of election interference by Trump and his associates. And so a 26-member grand jury granted investigative authority and subpoena power to determine if a crime was committed. Her investigation also extends to fake electors plot involving high-ranking Republican officials, including 2 senators, Brandon Beach, David Shafter, and the chairman of the Georgia Republican Party. And yes, it's noteworthy to mention that Willis is a Democrat. Woo! That's a lot of powerful people she's trying to prosecute. Somebody type revenge in the chat room. Somebody type revenge in the chat room. Shout out to Romel. Shout out to my man Morel Modak. And somebody said 11. How many votes was it? Said 11,000. My man said 11. He gave me an exact 11,780. Find me 11,780 votes. My man Romel Murdoch said it's like with gangs forming hits out, so gang can't be blamed, but the actual hitman. Yeah, man. Are y'all starting to see all 4 of these lawyers are black? Out of 1.3 million attorneys, you couldn't find one white lawyer who wanted to take this case? Just think about that. You got 1.3 million lawyers. 4.5% of those are black, which is about 50,000. You couldn't find one white lawyer that wanted to take the case? Not one white lawyer out of all of them. Somebody type set up in the chat room. So here's the thing, and summing it up, I'm presented these key figures, the prosecutors in Georgia, New York, and Florida, who are playing a role in the legal challenges facing Donald Trump, ex-president. This is your president. Now, each of them brings a great background and perspective to their respective cases. But I find myself pondering the commonality that they share. And I invite you to join me in that contemplation. What unites these individuals in their legal pursuit against the former president? Well, first of all, they're all black. That's the first thing. All of them. How that happened? How did all of the attorneys who are prosecuting Donald Trump end up being black? How did that happen? Heck with the Democrat part, they're all black. And so when I think about this, my thoughts drift back to the days when I was at Grambling State University. Somebody say GSU. Somebody type GSU in the chat room, the blackest university of all black universities in America. And while I was there, I deeply immersed myself in black cultural studies, not in the class, but outside the class. The 5%, the earths, the moons, the suns, right? The nation, black empowerment, all the great heroes. I'm reminded of all the great leaders. One of them in particular was Dr. John Heinrich Clark. He was a scholar. He was from New York. Well, he wasn't from New York, but he ended up teaching in New York. And his insights shaped a lot of my understanding. Significantly, one of his teachings that resonates with me right now. Somebody type Dr. Clark in the chat room. What did he say? He said, white supremacy always breaks its tools. And this concept stayed with me as I delved into the world of law and justice. What do you mean? White supremacy always breaks its tools. What that means is these people who are set up to do the dirt, these attack dogs. Somebody type black attack dog in the chat room. These puppets out here, they want to prove something. They want to get out there and they want to show that they're good enough, even though they already clearly are good enough. They've done a lot. They've done a lot. They pull themselves up. Like, isn't that the American dream? Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. They did that. And yet they still feel like they have more to prove. Nevertheless, this concept stayed with me. And when I look at these 4 black attorneys, I see a pattern. None of them come from billionaire families. They're not rich. Somebody type not rich in the chat. You got this girl going to jail because she's trying to get $90,000 out of her goddamn retirement fund. None of them have deep-rooted connections to the American elite. So they're not rich, and they're not that socially connected. Many are first-generation Americans, like Haitian-born Markenzie LaPonte. Or they have modest backgrounds like Alvin Bragg, whose parents were ordinary working class people. Fannie Willis, she from Inglewood. I know her people ain't rich. She might not even have any significant ties outside of professional life in Fulton, Georgia, because she's from California. These observations lead me to ponder the implications of their roles in prosecuting Trump. Generally, taking on a case against a former president might be seen as a coveted opportunity, a career-defining moment. I mean, look, if you could get a rapper and you can make a name off putting a rapper in jail, wouldn't you want to put a president in jail? I mean, you had a dude run on the fact that he was going to put Bill Cosby in jail. You had all these other people who made a name, Marsha Clark prosecuting O.J. Simpson, Chris Darden prosecuting O.J. Simpson, win or lose. These lawyers were chomping at the bit to get a piece of that. They get to be on TV, they get accolades. But for some reason, for whatever reason, just all black people end up being prosecuted. Where the white lawyers at? Huh? Where all the white lawyers that want to participate in this high stakes trial? Huh? Let me tell you something. If these cases fail, or if a scapegoat is needed, it strikes me that the individuals, due to their backgrounds and their skin color, they'll be deemed expendable in the grander scheme of political and legal machinations. When I look, these cases themselves are precarious, to say the least. The 37-count indictment in Florida sounds big, but it appears to be tenuous. It might not even withstand scrutiny at a higher judicial level, potentially jeopardizing the career of the prosecutor pursuing it. Letitia James's case, investigation into Trump's dealings in New York. There's a lot of challenges and uncertainties in it. Hell, look at the sitting judge. He's been charged with unethical violations during the trial. He's issued an unconstitutional gag order. And there's some questions about his biasness and the biasness of his law clerk. Now, as I try to make sense of these dynamics, I can't help but wonder about the big picture. What does it mean that all 4 of these prosecutors share these particular backgrounds? Black, not rich, not socially connected. And why, in this high stakes legal battle against a former president who's a billionaire, do they all bear striking resemblance in the terms of their social, political standing? These questions linger in my mind as I continue to explore the intricate and often opaque world of legal and political power plays. As an attorney who has invested years in acquiring my law degree and achieving my current professional status, I am compelled to examine the dynamics at play in the prosecution of Donald Trump. It's not that I doubt the brilliance of these lawyers. My query is more nuanced. Why? Specifically, are attorneys like Alvin Bragg leading these challenging cases? And when I say challenging, I don't mean it in a good way. Throughout the legal community, these legal battles nationally are regarded tenuous at best. The gravity of these cases and the potential consequences they bear for the attorneys involved can't be overstated. It's crucial to understand that our journey as Black Americans, as immigrant Black Americans, through law school and through the legal profession, it was not easy. Somebody type "not easy" in the chat room. Now, for me to then see fellow Black attorneys in prominent positions potentially being positioned as fall guys and fall ladies in high-profile political cases, it raises serious questions about the value and the recognition of our careers and reputations. Do you not see what's going on, brothers and sisters? Brother Bragg, Mrs. James, Mrs. Willis, Mr. LaPonte, do you not see what happened to Ms. Mosby? See, this phenomenon where all the attorneys prosecuting in these controversial, tenuous cases, all Black, while simultaneously being criticized for the weak nature of these cases, it strikes me as more than a mere coincidence. I don't believe in that type of coincidence. I have to ask myself, and you should be asking yourself, is there an underlying strategy at play? Positioning these individuals in the roles where they might bear the brunt of the legal or political fallout. Somebody type revenge in the chat room. Somebody type revenge in the chat room. Somebody type Trump ain't the one in the chat room. Somebody type Trump ain't the one in the chat room. Somebody type payback in the chat room. See, the first thing I like to understand is who we are dealing with in a case. And in the case of Donald Trump, one must acknowledge his philosophy on retaliation is an eye for an eye. His belief in getting even and refusal to turn the other cheek might pose significant risk for those involved in this prosecution. If Trump would have returned to office, or retained significant influence, the implications for those who have acted against him could be dire, especially considering that most of these cases are likely to be escalated to the Supreme Court, where they are more likely than not going to be overturned. The Presidential Records Act, which is at the heart of this Florida case, and the intricacies of the legal documentation further complicates this case. Proven malfeasance on Trump's part, particularly in regard to these classified documents, that's going to be a substantial challenge. I don't care if you got 37 charges, 370 charges. And that's just one. But when I reflect on the potential outcome of these cases against Trump, I'm critically aware of the legal nuances and the broader implications for those attorneys involved, particularly considering my own journey and the diligence required to succeed in this field. In the Southern District of Florida case, if it's proven that Trump didn't violate any laws regarding the handling of the classified document, then the case might be dismissed right at the trial level. Or if not, it's dismissed on the appellate level. But definitely by the time it reaches the Supreme Court, it's out of here. Now, this outcome leaves that brother, Mr. LaPonte, the prosecutor, appointed by Joe Biden in a precarious situation, especially if Trump would have returned to power. This could lead that prosecutor to removal from the Southern District of Florida. I believe so. Or suspension. And then once he's stripped of that power, it's amazing how easily people can be disbarred. Somebody type Miss Mosby in the chat room. Now let's turn to Alvin Bragg's case in New York. The reliance on a discredited witness, like Trump's former lawyer, Mr. Cohen, who has a history of perjury, it raises serious ethical and legal concerns. A prosecutor's decision to knowingly bring a dishonest witness to the stand, that could result in disbarment. Somebody type Miss Mosby in the chat room. Mind you, Alvin Bragg is a Harvard-educated lawyer. His attempt to merge unrelated legal issues, improper business records, and misuse campaign fund, it further complicates the case. Look, I explained to y'all earlier, the federal and the state, the federal court, if it's a federal court issue, it's going to be superseded. I mean, the state court issue is going to be superseded by the state. You don't go from federal to state, you go from state to federal. But he's a state court prosecutor basically trying to prosecute federal court matters. This mix up of state and federal matters, it could lead to dismissal of the case on appeal. Hence, Bragg's career could be in jeopardy by his problematic approach. You're looking at disbarment, and you're looking at what? Unfair prosecution, a malicious prosecution. Now let's look at this Georgia Fannie Willis. She faces her own set of challenges. Despite the significant black population, Georgia as a whole does not mirror this demographic. Engaging in such a high-profile case against Trump, it could make her a target for her political adversaries, much like somebody type Ms. Mosby in the chat room. Somebody type Marilyn Mosby, former Baltimore prosecutor who faced legal troubles years later after the Freddie Gray case. It appears that Fannie Willis is setting herself up for a significant professional risk. Because again, once that case gets appealed up to the Supreme Court, they're not putting the president in jail. They're not going to put a president. How do you put a president in jail? He got 4, 5, 10, 15 Secret Service agents around. How is that going to even work? Look, just analyze it. How is that even going to work? Similarly, Letitia James, Attorney General of New York, taking substantial risk with her career after this prosecution. The judge is already looking like they're trying to get rid of him. He's going to go before he's already looking like he's in violation of ethical canon. And so this brings to question why it seems to be that there are black attorneys who are at the forefront of this risky, high stakes litigation against Trump. Do y'all, is this ringing any bells to you guys? Imagine if you had a room full of doctors and the doctors who were in charge to take care of the patients who were the worst off, they were all black. I mean, they coming in there on the cusp of death, and you supposed to perform a 15-hour complicated brain surgery on them to try to save them. Why is it that these black, all for you, wasn't one white doctor that wanted to step up? Somebody type step up. It wasn't one white doctor that wanted to step up. It wasn't one black white lawyer who wanted to step up. and get involved in this high risk litigation? Where are all the white attorneys who are equally willing to take on such a polarizing figure and risk revenge? Hell, it's even hard for Trump to find lawyers willing to defend him. Because he's creating a lot of creating adversaries. They'd be creating adversaries. They got a whole organization designed or created to write bar complaints on the lawyers who represent Donald Trump. It's beef. Somebody type, it's beef in the chat room. So I question the rationale behind these black attorneys taking on such precarious cases. While some might see glory in prosecuting a former president, to me it seems more like a setup. Somebody type setup in the chat room. Where all of them are being used as pawns in a larger political game. You know old Joe Biden don't like black folk. Y'all know old smoking Joe Biden don't like black folks. He was a segregationist, came up with the 1994 crime bill. If he can't get you one way, he'll get you the other. I mean, this man, I can just imagine the phone call. Look, I need you to go ahead and prosecute. Next thing next thing you know, y'all look up all the lawyers at the forefront are all black. Why are these attorneys in their prominent positions seemingly, why are they all black? You think it's merely coincidence that all four prosecutors trying to either cause Trump to go broke, lose his business, or put him in prison, all black? The likelihood of that happening is preposterous, in my opinion. And this occurrence was purposeful and deliberate. This was contrived. The notion that these black attorneys are shouldering the burden, taking the heat in these high-profile cases, while their white counterparts are conspicuously absent, it raises critical questions. The situation appears to reflect a broader systematic issue within the legal profession and most other professions. It's concerning the scenario where if a mistake is made, it's the black attorneys who bear the brunt, with limited avenues for recourse or defense. Because all your little white friends are going to scatter when it happens. All them people petting you on the back. Good job, Letitia. Good job, Alvin. Good job, Fannie. They're going to disappear. And again, this dynamic is particularly troubling considering the small percentage of black lawyers in the United States. 4.5% out of 1.3 million lawyers. 4.5% of them are black. And yet all the people prosecuting Donald Trump are black. That's statistically unheard of. Hell, rarely do black attorneys reach such prominent positions. And it seems almost as if they're being positioned as fall guys. A setup. Somebody type setup in the chat room. A setup. And they need to be wary of what they're falling into. In my professional experience, working along affluent white lawyers, I've always maintained a principle of equal risk and investment. I refuse to be the fall guy in any situation. I insist on having my career and my legacy remain intact, not jeopardized by disproportionate risk or setups. They volunteered for that, though. They could have easily said no. Why? Did they feel like they had something to prove to the dominant society? Did they feel like they needed to go that extra? You've already proved yourself. You've done more than enough. The fact that such a critical legal battle is predominantly being fought by black attorneys should not be overlooked or taken lightly. It calls for a deeper understanding and perhaps a call to action, ensuring that the legal profession in its high-stakes cases do not become the grounds for racial disparities and unjust professional sacrifices. Just throw the black dude under the bus. Just throw the black woman under the bus. You got 1.3 million attorneys in America, and only 4.5% are black. Now think about it. Why are these few black attorneys like Markenzie LaPonte, Alvin Bragg, Fannie Willis, Letitia James, front and center in prosecuting Donald Trump? Out of all the lawyers in the land, these are the ones stepping into the fire. This isn't just odd, it's a setup. Somebody type setup in the chat room. These attorneys are coming from modest backgrounds without deep-seated political or financial clout. And they're being thrust into this legal lion's den. Look at Marilyn Mosby. She walked this path and she's facing the backlash right now. She's been in the trenches, fighting high-profile, politically charged battles. And what did it get? Got her name dragged through the mud. That's the playbook for black professionals in these spots. So these attorneys taking on Trump, what do you think is waiting for them at the end of this high-stakes game? A precarious path, riddled with legal landmines, ethical dilemmas, and the kind of risks that can end careers. That's what's waiting. Let me lay it out straight. Being used as a pawn in a political chess game between white folks, between members of the dominant society, it's a real danger. And these black attorneys, feeling as though they have something to prove, they're in a vulnerable spot. If they succeed, they're heroes for the moment. Somebody type for the moment in the chat room. But if they fail, or if the political winds change, who do you think is going to take the fall? Them. They're navigating a landscape where being black and in a position of power puts them in the crosshairs. It's not just about justice. It's about who's in power, who gets to call the shots, who gets thrown under the bus, and when things go south. So here's a warning. Y'all listening? Here's a warning. Listen. And this is for everybody else because it's too late for them. I'm talking to you who are listening to me right now in YouTube land. And everybody on the rebroadcast. I don't care if you're a truck driver or a school teacher. I don't care. I don't care if you're a doctor or you make dictation machines. I don't care if you're a student or a salesman. Don't let yourself be used by people who don't have your best interests at heart. These cases, they're more than just legal battles. This is political warfare. And these black attorneys are at the forefront. Same thing goes on in your office politics. Their careers and their reputations and their future, just like your career, your reputation, and your future, at risk. That's the risk they're taking. And for what? For what? To be part of a narrative that often sees black professionals rise only to be pulled down? That's the reality of the life that we live here in the United States, not just the legal game. It's a litmus test. It's a litmus test for how the system treats black power players. Watch and learn. Because this is more than just courtrooms and legal briefs. It's about race. It's about power. Who gets to write the story? And who gets to write the story at the end of the day? You've been warned. Be careful. Nevertheless, I feel as though I've earned my keep. If you feel as though I've earned my keep, it's time for you to pay me for my time. If you've learned something, if you've been inspired, if you're willing to look at something, when you go to the office tomorrow and John tries to get you to go in there and tell the boss on behalf of all the staff that y'all want to raise, say, no, not me. You can go, John. I'll sit right here. Next time, them folks from over the seas try to get you to go out there and protest for some people that you don't know and ain't never seen and risk losing your scholarship at your law school or medical school for some people that's in war with each other and been in war with each other for 2,000 years. You say, no, I think I'll pass. That's not my problem. The next time your little classmates try to get you to go tell the teacher or professor you want to get off early on Friday, say, no, I'm going to let Megan and Heather and Maria and Jose do that. Keisha, Tyrone, and Jamal are going to go sit in the back. Y'all can handle that. How about that? Oh, but Keisha, you're so loud and you're so vocal. And you know, John loves you. He has a thing for black girls. He'll listen to you. You're so outspoken. Why don't you go do it? No, I'm good. Keisha, you go sit yourself down. And you make sure Tyrone sits down too, because he don't have nothing to prove. Don't be a black pawn. It's a setup. Don't be a black pawn. Whether you're a lawyer, a legislator, or you operate a forklift, don't be a black pawn for people in their political game. The pawns are usually the first ones to go. Don't do it. Don't do it. I know y'all learned something, baby. I know y'all learned something. I know you did. I got you thinking right now. I can see y'all out there, your little wheels. You damn right. He sure is. I remember that. Yeah. They always trying to get me out front to do stuff. They are. Yeah. All the black police officers, all the truck drivers, all the union members, they want to put you out front. Let you go in there into the lion's den and get them a raise. Because if something happened to you, they don't care. Well, it's just a black guy. You know how they are. Now you around there dealing with the brunt of the office politics and they gone. They disappear. Well, you know, the only thing they'll do is, well, they'll come out, yeah, man, I'm so proud of you. But they won't stand up. They got you standing up. They got you out front, taking them hits, not getting paid any more money. Don't do it. Somebody type in the chat room. Come on. Who can spell that? Somebody type in the chat room. Come on now. No, wait. No. Somebody say no. Say no. Somebody type no in the chat room. Anyway, man, y'all pay me for my time, man. If you feel like you learned something, you feel like you've been motivated, man, pay me for my time. In the meantime, y'all listen to some of these cool beats. I'll be back. If you listen to women, especially black women, they'll tell you exactly what their intentions are. They're not mad at Joe Blow off the street who got a white woman who's broke, but they mad at hell at Kobe Bryant, and he's been dead for years now. They're mad at Tay Diggs, mad at Jamie Foxx. They're mad at Terrell Owens and all the rest of the rich men. But why?
I dated some black girls when I was in college. They did not like me. I was skinny. I was strong.
Chat. I want to give a big shout out to my man, Willie I 3 R, he said Jim Crow Joe sent the FBI to NYC Mayor Adams because he's talking too much about. Right, exactly, right? You out of line. Isn't that something? Just think about that, man. Woo. You set him up to go. You set him up to be America's city, mayor of America's biggest city. You support him, and now look, it's a cold game, man. It's a cold game. Glenn Curtis dropping gems. Thank you, Blizzard King. You welcome, brother. Too tall. This is Friday. It should be. You think about that, man. You got all these white attorneys, all these prosecutors. I've never seen this many black attorneys. I've never seen this many black prosecutors and attorneys generals and state attorney generals, and all of them happen to be black, and these are the ones prosecuting Trump. It's something else, man. It sounds like it's contrived. You won't get any backlash, right? Because they're not trying to take their L's. They don't want their own folk to take the L's. Anyway, Elevated Engineering, he said, my line of work, we call this political blowback. All right, cool. That's good to know. Somebody type political blowback in the chat room. Kenneth Williams, he said, thank you for the super sticker. And then also Romel, big shout out to you. It's like gangs and farming hits out, so one gang can't be blamed, but the actual hitman. Yeah, good point, man. Thank you so much, David. Well, hey, head to work. Shout out to the replay squad. Shout out to Glenn Curtis. And again, shout out to my man, International Quiet Storm. I want to give a big shout out to everybody who contributed to the Cash App, man. Thank you so much. All my Cash App guys. Remember, just so you guys know, I mean, Google takes damn near 55% of the advertising revenue. They take 55% of the membership revenue. I mean, go ahead and be members. That's the way you can show your appreciation. I know it's convenient because you only have to click a few buttons. But the Cash App, I get to keep 100% of that. So shout out to my man, Trey43TX. Thank you, Mr. Graves. Thank you, Mr. Mark, the freelancers. Thank Mr. Vincent Perdue. And thank you, Mr. Peterson. Thank you so much. You guys make sure you contribute to the Cash App and the Super Chat if you appreciate what I've done, if you learned something. But in the meantime, man, we got some guys down here in the bullpen. Glenn Curtis, man, all four up. All four up. But how did I ain't never seen that. I didn't even know we had that many black prophets. All four of them, man. I mean, come on now. Go ahead. What are your thoughts on it's a lot of coincidental. What are your thoughts on that?
You mentioned Dr. Clark. Some of the younger people, they don't know who he is. They should. Well, he
has a famous. Go ahead. He has a famous statement, and basically it says white supremacy breaks its own tools. And this phrase, and I'm gonna break it down for him since you brought it because I thought they might be over there. So white supremacy always breaks its tools. It's a metaphorical statement, and it's often used in discussions about race and social justice. In this context, white supremacy, it refers to a societal system or ideology that holds that white people are superior to those of other races, especially the black race, because white supremacy is often geared on anti-black racism. And therefore, they believe they should dominate. Now, that's not all white people, but all white people do benefit from white supremacy, but not all white people are racist. So let's not put them in that categorical quandary. Now, the tools in this metaphor, the term tools, it represents the means or the methods employed by the dominant society to maintain, enforce its power and control. This can include the laws, the social norms, the economic structures, or even individuals who support and perpetuate ideologies. Okay, the phrase always breaks its tools. That suggests that the methods used by the dominant society are ultimately self-destructive and unsustainable. And that implies that the tactics employed to maintain racial inequality and dominance are inherently flawed and will eventually lead to the breakdown or failure of the system itself. And this could be due to various reasons, such as the inherent immorality of oppression and the inevitable resistance and fight for equality by those oppressed, or the internal contradictions within the ideology of white supremacy itself. In essence, the statement is a critique on white supremacy, highlighting its destructive nature, not only towards those, but also towards the system and the individuals it upholds. I think that's a fair enough explanation. If anything you want to add on to it, go ahead. But when people put that out there, most folks don't know exactly what it means. Go ahead, bro. What would you like?
No, I think that's, and I appreciate that breakdown. I think that's very accurate. I'm amazed that we don't. Malcolm X said a long time ago, "Gotta be careful of these liberals," and we consistently do not understand and appreciate and learn that this ain't our battle. No. This ain't our battle. Nope. This is somebody else's battle, and you being used as a pawn. You mentioned Biden. When he said you ain't black if you don't vote for me. If I was inclined to vote for him, that would have stopped me off rip. Yeah. How dare you dictate to me what you consider to be blackness because I choose not to vote. My vote is, I can vote for Mickey Mouse if I decide so. I'm a free man.
You're a free man. And here's another thing. Along with being a free man, you have nothing to prove. And see, the reason I went to the point of reading all these brilliant lawyers' credentials, whether it's Fannie Willis, whether it's Letitia James, whether it's the brother LaPonte, Alvin Bragg, these are brilliant lawyers. They don't have anything to prove to these folks. You've done enough. You're free men and women, and you don't have anything to prove, yet you feel compelled to jump out there in front of this dragon because you know it's going to be some revenge. Somebody type revenge in the chat room. And somebody give me one more super chat. Damn, at least let me get 10 super chats. Y'all cold blood. I know I did a good job tonight. But anyway.
So brother, why do you think? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Please ask the question.
Why do you think they've done this and, they've reached the pinnacle of their professional, acumen? Why do you think, what is it within them or us that we still feel we have to have the stamp of approval?
White validation is like cocaine to black people. We still feel that we have something to prove. We have chronic low self-esteem. Our women have low self-esteem. That's why they wear hair that don't look like the hair that grows out of their head. Our men got low self-esteem. That's why we oftentimes don't stand up and be men. Hell, if it wasn't for the low self-esteem of black men, there wouldn't be no need for me. I'm constantly in here trying to pump you brothers up and letting you know you're a free man. You have the right to live on this earth like every other man. If y'all had the self-esteem that you were supposed to have, I wouldn't even need to be here. But the rest of the world knows that we have low self-esteem, especially these people in this place. You got a chip on your shoulder is what they used to call it. You feel like you got something to prove. No matter how big you get, all I got to do is, you like one of them little young dudes that got something to prove back in the hood, just wind you up, give you something to shoot with and point you in the right direction, and you'll go in there and just massacre everybody. It's chronic low self-esteem. You can't convince a group of people who love themselves and who have high self-esteem that they just supposed to throw themselves under the bus for what it seems to be a lost cause. Nothing's gonna happen to Trump. Shout out to my man Brown Hornet. Trump look, I've been doing the breakdown. And I want to do this broadcast too. The idea of Donald Trump going to jail. There's a law on the books, it's a federal law on the books that says he has to have Secret Service protection as a former president, unless he himself says he doesn't want it. Knowing Donald Trump is a disruptor, what do you think is going to happen when him and his 10 Secret Service folks hit the Georgia prison? Ain't nothing going, because he ain't going.
So that's a federal law.
That's a federal law, and it can't be trumped by state law. She just wasting her time. What are you, house arrest? You doing all this for house arrest? And here's another thing. I want y'all to just consider this. When it does go up to the Supreme Court, because all the criminal cases are going to the Supreme Court, because it's the president of the United States and this stuff was committed while he was a president. So it's going to the Supreme Court. All they're doing is just trying to get a conviction on right now. You see what I mean? And then as far as the civil cases, he don't care about that. What you gonna tell him he can't do business in New York anymore? Like he don't have businesses in Scotland and all these other cities around? That's not doing New York a favor. And what happens when the next attorney general comes in office and says, you know what, we're gonna revoke that, whatever. It's a Republican. Do you know how angry these New Yorkers are right now about these immigrants coming up there? What about in Chicago? You know, it's going to be some Republicans popping off. Okay. There's going to be some variances issued. It's all for nothing. I mean, what billionaire white man do you put in jail for waiving this, saying this could be a secret? That ain't, man. Look, the judge can't even tell him, I'm going to put you in jail. The judge is afraid to tell Donald Trump, if you act out again, I'm going to hold you in contempt and put you in jail. How's that going? You think they're going to send Donald Trump to Rikers Island with his 10 Secret Service agents? I mean, bro, I mean, it's some limits to this system. It's some limit. If you got somebody who has more power than the justice system, then what are you going to do? There's nothing they can do with this man. And on top of that, you got 40 million people, 100-some million people that support you. You just gonna turn him into a martyr. He definitely gonna get reelected. Give me a minute, Glenn. Let me talk to my man, the contractor. Bro, what would you like to add to this? Look. Don't be a black pawn. Have you ever been in a situation where they try to gas you up to go out there and be in front, and they sit back? Go ahead, talk to them. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Salute to you. Salute to the panel.
Mm-hmm.
Chad. That whole situation where they really thought they were going to do something.
Mm-hmm.
There's only one entity that I know can even arrest or put handcuffs on the president. Those are the marshals.
Right.
You're not going to send that man to prison. You're just not. So you're down on your own sword for nothing. Like it's crazy. It's crazy to me.
And see, go ahead, bro. But see the precedent that they're setting. So you telling me that every ex-president is now vulnerable to getting prosecuted and going to prison by his political opponents? Just think about that. That means Obama. That means Clinton. That means all of these men who are currently ex-president. They are all vulnerable now because you set a precedent. What if the district attorney up in Lincoln, Nebraska decides he wants to prosecute Barack Obama? I'm going to go ahead and prosecute you. The grand jury said, it's my time to shine. You did a crime. You spit on the sidewalk 10 years ago. Statute of limitation says you need to do a year in jail. Just think about that. Look at the door they opening. Let me get my man David Fatokun in here. But what would you like to add? And Glenn Curtis, if you want to come back in, man, you got a cam up. Go ahead, David. What would you like to add?
Hey, man, I'm gonna try to hurry up and preface my statements. I'm Nigerian. I've been following you. Shout out to you. You introduced me to Kevin Samuels. Yeah. Proud of what you're doing with your sons. And I just want to go ahead and just start throwing your flowers. But you got God gonna bless you to receive plenty more of those. But regardless, as my father's conservative, I'm a pastor's kid. As I noticed within my own household, my father was always isolated by my siblings and all that in that liberal space. And I was like, hey, I always want to latch on. So I took on that same energy. One of my favorite verses is James 4:4. Those who are a friend of the world are enemy to God. Those who are a friend of God are enemy to the world. It's that, how you always use the word, that straight divide. And I noticed as when we the black men who are empowered, who actually read the word, who put these things into action, these are the men who are actually crucified and actually trying to get wiped out. And again, that's why I sort of not only I align with the conservative views, but for the simple fact that this dude Trump has opened up everybody's eyes and exposed things that we've been covered for. Me just coming to this country, I'm 38 years old. Me being exposed. let's keep going. Let's keep collaborating. We got to keep supporting Unc. I'm not here to start bickering or provide any dialogue that we can start arguing. If we could just all rally as especially brothers, I don't care what your make and model, but if you agree with Unc and the ideology, I support you all the time on the back end with the cash. So regardless, I brag about you. And I notice the more and more I brag about you, the more and more darts I get. But you know what? God put me in position. Fellas, make sure y'all read Romans and make sure we armored up against these spiritual battles. Yeah. But that's all that man. Appreciate you.
I appreciate that. And let me tell you something. We need to be able to look. I play the foundational Black American game all day. That's what you want to do. We'll play that game. But at the end of the day, we are all one big Negro to these people looking at us.
Yep. Yeah.
Because you look at LaPonte. LaPonte is Haitian. They don't care if he's black or white. Do you think Donald Trump is looking at him like he's a Haitian? No, he's looking at him. Y'all all the same. Don't you think he's noticing? Don't you think their team has noticed? You know, all the prosecutors putting us in jail, all black. Don't you? I'm sitting here in Texas. I ain't involved in none of those cases. And I'm telling you, I can see the prosecutor in Florida is black. The prosecutor in Georgia is black. The prosecutor in New York City is black. The attorney general is black. Don't you think that y'all don't think that's a coincidence? Glenn, man, you were first up, man. Is that a coincidence? Is this live or this Memorex? Go ahead.
I think it's very telling. You know, I have people that I know, and they're very, very happy that Trump is being brought up on charges, and they're very happy that it's black people. And I didn't, until you broke it down, I really didn't think about it. But you know, something is gnawing at your brain. Something's not right. Well, why you have so much glee about this man? Why the vitriol about this man? I don't trust either party. I don't trust presidents. They come and go. They support the system. It doesn't matter who it is. But we got a lot of black people who are anti. What has he done to you?
Right.
What has he done to you?
But yeah, look, so we talk about it all the time. He represents the Republican Party. And we have a strong contingent of people who reap the benefits of the Democrat Party. They get welfare, they get EBT cards, they get government subsidies, they get what's that called? They get before they revoked it, they get what's the no, what's the other one? Affirmative action. They get government set-asides, they get free jobs working in the government. You know, they get to be double minorities. They call it the gynocracy. They call it the matriarchy. Black men don't benefit from the Democrat Party. We don't get WIC. We don't get set-asides. You know, we don't get anything. All we get is taxed, and more money is spent to take care of these people who sit up and reap these benefits. We don't get anything from that. Unfortunately, we got our queen mother goddess simp chip turned up on 100%. And so we just go along. And when you start telling them, hey, I'm thinking about voting for the Republican. Oh, no, you might as well say I'm voting for Satan himself. Oh, what do you mean? They want that check. Somebody type, give me my check in the chat room. They want their check. They don't want a reparations check. They want a government check. They want a welfare check. That's what they've been tied to that. That's part of their identity. And so now black men, and I did a broadcast the other day about how black men are saying, you know what, hold on. Big Mama is dead. My queen mother goddess simp chip is only working on half strength. I'm starting to think for myself. And I'm actually starting to see what's in my best interest. And me having to pay all these taxes for these people and having an anti-business climate and an anti-entrepreneurial climate and an anti-traditional family climate and an anti-man climate, anti-father climate is not something that's good for me. And what you're getting with all these purple-haired, weird, left-leaning liberals is exactly what's not good for black men. It's really not good for any man. And so I'm going to put my men's advocate hat on right now. I'm going to put my men's rights hat on. The Democratic Party is just not good for men in general. Not at this point. It just across the board. White men don't like it. Hispanic men don't like it. Black men don't like it. Unfortunately, we've been the only fools voting for it because we're tied to the lovely ladies. The lovely ladies have been punking us for 60 years. And at least for the past 50 of those years, we haven't benefited from it. But now we like, hold on. Y'all say y'all strong, independent, and don't need a man. But that means you don't need our vote either. So you go over there and y'all be your own voting block, which is why you have, what was the percentage that I pointed out the other day? Was it Trump is beating Joe Biden amongst black men by 3 percentage points. He went from being 34 percentage points down to now he's beating him by 3 percentage points in the polls. Black American men are saying we're going to vote for Trump. That is phenomenal. Now, Biden is still getting about 71% of the black vote, but that's because the lovely ladies are holding them down because they benefit from the Democrat Party and the Democrat policies. We don't. You see what I'm saying? So that's why we tied. But see, now there's a great awakening happening. Somebody type "great awakening" in the chat room. And shout out to you. Vote your interest. I'm not telling you who to vote for. If you're a union man, you probably need to vote for the Democrats. But me as a person who don't want to pay another $100,000 in taxes ever again, I'm going to vote for the Republican. I don't think I will ever vote for another Democrat for president or Congress ever again because I don't want to pay that much money in taxes. Hell, I'm not here in America enough to reap the benefit of the freeway. I just want my money. You understand what I'm saying? So anyway, let me get my man the contract in. Bro, what else you want to say about this horrible situation? You got these lovely ladies out here, these brothers out here trying to put this crazy orange man in jail. You know he about to get, you know retaliation is a must. And now you know retaliation, revenge. Go ahead, let's hear it.
Well, like from your perspective on real shit, you're coming from the perspective of a business owner, right?
Yeah.
And I own my own business. Under Trump, I paid less, but I made more.
There you go. Yeah.
You know what that feel like? Like
I know. I
paid
paid
that check. Your soul be twitching. Like, God, no.
You know what
that's
it's like?
Money you work for, bro.
In my mind, I'm still in the ghetto. And if I got to write a check for $100,000 to the IRS, and you don't even write it to the IRS, you write it to the Secretary of the Treasury. That ain't my secretary. You see what I'm saying? Like, what? Are you kidding me? It's like, okay, I'm already paying taxes on my food, my gas. I'm paying taxes on my weed, my alcohol, my woman, my kids. And now you got me paying taxes on the money that I make. What? How do I have to pay taxes on money that I make? I ain't even spent it yet. Think about that. I worked all year to make this money, and you saying I got to go into my bank account and pay taxes on the money that I make. How do you even know I got the money? I got to tell you how much money I made, and then, damn, bro. Damn. And if I don't tell you how much money, then you might put me to jail in the next 5 years. You see what I'm saying? And if I try to get a little bit, then you're gonna charge me 3 times more than what I didn't pay you. It make you want to leave. I'm trying to go to Nigeria. My brother David, I want to talk to your father. Tell him that he has another son.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you. I'm a Yoruba guy, so you already know. You already Oluwa. We already begged.
I know. Hey, but I did the research. I found out that my ancestors go back to Nigeria and Togo, Benin. This is me. I want to go back. Okay.
I beg. We receive you well. So one more thing before I let y'all go.
Go ahead.
Shout out to you for putting DC over the go-go music, man. I hope everybody receiving that good love you be spreading on it. You already hope they catching that.
Where you from?
It's time
Northeast, Ridge Park.
I'm from Southeast, cuz.
Hey, say no more, man. Lock in. So, one more caveat,
Go ahead.
I'm a contractor, and I just want to get your advice. I'm actually leaving to head over to do a DoD contract over at Hawaii. You already know. Shout out to you. I had a decision to stay over in the 495 DC area, but I saw the taxes a little bit higher. But I'm like, look, man, listening to and just knowing that, you know, I don't got no kids, I done made the right decision. Hey, man.
You got listen, you know what island are you gonna be on over there? What island are you gonna be on over there?
I'm gonna be on Oahu near.
You're gonna be on the main island, man. It's really what you want to stay is. Mililani is way out by the Marine base. You want to stay over there by Diamond Head. You know, I once got some head on top of Diamond Head. I did. I got some head on top of Diamond Head. It was 1995. My grandma just died, and I was sad. So I went over to Hawaii, and I was at this club, man, and I met this fine ass. She was fine as hell, man. She, you know, this back before they got all them people showed up and messed up the gene pool, but she was Samoan and white and all of them mixed up. And I met a man, and I was slender and handsome, and she thought I was Afakasi, which is Samoan and black. She thought I was mixed, and I'm like, no, I'm just here chilling, having a good time. And Samoan women, they kind of aggressive, but she was, how old was she? I was 21, so she was about 22 or 23. But they aggressive. They'll punk you if you let them. They'll hit you. Like Samoan women, even the small one, they'll hit you in the chest and see what you made out of. But anyway, I liked it. I was a little ghetto and hood and violent and stuff. But anyway, man, since you gave me your phone number, and I'm hanging out with my Uncle Daryl, and this is before they had Map, Google Quest, and all that sort of stuff. So I'm like, look, man, she told me to meet her at her house on the back of the island. He's like, on the back of the island? I'm like, yeah. He said, meet her on the back of me. He's like, where at? He said, over here in Manahoa Bay or something like that. He said, really? And I'm like, why are you looking at me strange? Is something going on the back of the island I need to know about? So anyway, he's like, no, go give me my little map book. So, back then they had these little books with all the maps. And he said, so you want to go here, 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 make a left here, and then you'll be at a Marine base. Marine base. He said, go on, just tell them you there, make sure you got your ID, and you can park my car when you get in there. So I'm like, oh, okay. So I got, I'm driving. I'm like, damn, I'm going to a Marine base. Is she a Marine or something like that? What's going? She was fine though. She was beautiful. You know what I'm saying? And Lord knows, man, I got there and it was a Marine base and they had like guns and shit. Yeah, come on in. And so it was daytime when I got there, and then I went into, it was an apartment. I'm like, wow, this is like a real apartment on a Marine base. This seems like Long Beach or Compton or something like that. So anyway, I walked upstairs, and she came out with some little short song, long hair all the way down her back. And, she said, come on in, have a seat. So we chopped it up for a minute. I was talking. She's like, tell me a little bit about yourself. Because she was, aggressive. She was Samoan. And I'm like, yeah, I'm over here. My grandma died. I'm sad. I just wanted to come get some fresh air here in Hawaii, look at the flowers. And as we sitting in the apartment, it wasn't real decorated, wasn't a whole lot of pictures up or nothing like that. She said, well, look, it's something I want to tell you. And, I'm 21. I don't know nothing. She said, I'm married. I'm like, oh my God, really? Oh my God. He said, I'm married. And she said, but right now you got a choice. This is what she told me. You can go through that front door and we don't have to see each other again. Or you can go through that door, because that's where I'm going. And that was her bedroom door. And so she got up and she went in the bedroom door. And I was like, oh my God, let me get my things. I got to get out of here. And then I looked at that door and I went through that door. And it was one of the best nights I've ever had in my whole life. Her little Marine husband wasn't there. He was somewhere overseas. And then I'm like, oh my God, I felt so cheap, and then now I understand my Uncle Daryl was looking at me sideways, because he's like, ain't no single people on the Marine base, son. You know what I'm saying? You going over there. But anyway, I was like, well, look, let's just, let's not go back there again. Just meet me out and about. I'm going to pick you up in my uncle's car. So we end up at Diamond Head. I'm getting some head. I called my homie Sugar Bear back in South Central. I'm like, Sugar Bear, he sold dope. He's Belizean. He sell dope back in South Central, but he don't do it no more. He got his degree, got his life together. But anyway, I'm like, Sugar Bear, I'm on Diamond Head getting some head. I'm on Diamond. This back when he had flip phones. I'm like, damn, I wrote about that in my book, man. So I'm not proud of that moment. Don't cheat. But that was a hell of a memory, man.
You said 1995. Remember the date and all that. Like,
good memories. That was the best 2.5 weeks of my life, man. Changed my life, man. Made me a different person. I mean, she put her feet in my chest and shit. I'm like, I ain't never, like, I'm like, God damn, like, you are hair everywhere. The light wasn't no air conditioner, just the wind was blowing. And she put her feet in my chest, man. Like, she just I don't know how she did it, but the feet ended up in my chest. And I'm like, this is some real savage jungle shit going on up in, you know, I'm like, you are really doing a lot to me, ma'am. So yeah, it was interesting. It was a very interesting time, but I've asked the Lord to forgive me for my transgressions and sins. And I hope the Lord will. I never ever, I'm telling you, don't ever don't do that. Don't do that. But I ain't like Puerto Ricans, no way. And husband was a short Puerto Rican, and she ain't like him either. She just married him. But anyway, let's move on. Praise God. Lord, please forgive me from the sins, Lord. Let's move on to the next subject. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Anybody got anything else to add? Woo, praise God. Praise God.
I wanted to ask, bro.
Right here. You got me crying. Right, it's, you know. Yeah.
I wanted to ask, bro. He said he was doing a DOD contract. Like, I'm familiar with that.
Yes. Somebody type head on Diamond Head. Somebody type head on Diamond Head. I can't go, but I'm sorry. I gotta go, bud. Let me get on up out of here. I gotta go get sanctified. Contractor Glenn Curry, good having y'all up in. Y'all heard what I had to say.
Yes,
Black
sir.
pawns and the radical left's game to get Trump locked up and broke. That's all we need to understand. Don't be a pawn. Love yourself. You're free men. You're free women. You need to have pride. You don't have anything to prove to anybody. Okay, that's what y'all need to understand. Shout out to my man K Willard. Shout out to my man who else? Alvin Holden. Thank you for the Cash App. Who else we got up in here, man? Darnell Peterson and Eric. But I got to go. I can't. I done messed up the broadcast. I'm sorry. I can't. I'm distracted. We distract. I'm gonna just go ahead and leave now. I'll be back tomorrow. He brought up. I was actually going to tell him, man, really nice clubs. You can go. They just got head on Diamond Head. You know, that should be a rap song. Anyway, God bless you. I love y'all. This is Uncle D. I'm out.